Sarah Ray. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are doing well. Today I wanted to give you guys kind of a more laid back, fun video. I feel like whenever I sit down and talk to you guys, it's more on a serious note, so I wanted to make this more of a lighter video. I wanted to tell you guys some stories from when I was a CNA. That's what we're doing today. You guys know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications of when I upload, and let's get into it. So if you're new here, I will tell you a little bit about my background. If you're not new here and you've been following me, you may already know this, but growing up I used to follow my mom. She's an LPN. I also have a chronic illness, an autoimmune disease as well. I live the sick life, so I've been in and out of hospitals. I've had 18 abdominal surgeries. I've been around the healthcare field forever. So that's always inspired me to want to join the healthcare field and be a part of that incredible, compassionate work. So when I got the chance in high school to go and become a CNA, I took it, and it made me realize, yes, that's what I wanted to do, is be in the healthcare field. I also made the decision I wanted to climb the ladder because I felt like it would make me a more well-rounded nurse. So that means become a CNA, become an LPN, and then go to RN. I also wanted to be just like those nurses that took care of me when I was in the hospitals all those times when I was a kid. I worked as a CNA for almost 5 years before I started fighting for disability, before my health took over and really stopped me from being able to work. I have plenty of stories I could sit here and tell you about my times as a certified nursing assistant. That's what CNA stands for. LPN stands for licensed practical nurse. RN stands for registered nurse. The difference between LPN and RN is really just RN can start IVs and LPN can't. I mean, there's some other differences, but that's really just the main difference. And a CNA is mainly seen in the nursing homes, so they really take care of the residents, changing their briefs, getting them ready, things of that nature, doing and helping ADLs, activities of daily living, so bathing them, things like that. So I wrote down quite a few stories that I wanted to share with you guys, so let's jump straight into it. I feel like I should start from the very beginning, when I was a little girl following my mom around. So there was this gentleman who had some form of cognitive behavior issue. I don't recall what it was, if it was dementia, Alzheimer's, or what exactly he had going on, but he thought he was Burt Reynolds. He had a cowboy hat. He was a tall, lanky man, but he wholeheartedly believed he was Burt Reynolds. You could not call this man by his first name, by his name, period. You had to call him Burt Reynolds. And he would walk up to you and say, "Hi, I'm Mr. Burt Reynolds," or "Hi, I'm Burt Reynolds." And I remember him just doing the most. There was one night he would act like the administrator of the building, and my mom and this other nurse were behind the desk, and he just had enough. He just walked up to them and said, "Everyone's fired. You're all fired." And he fired my mom and the nurse and everyone. He just fired everybody. He had enough. Burt Reynolds, yeah. So my mom took care of Burt Reynolds. Let's see what else. What else can I tell you? So my mom, I'll tell you a story my mom had. Somebody passed away. My mom had to call the funeral home, but it was after hours, so an answering service picked up. She gave the resident's name, her name, being the nurse, everything, all the details. The guy comes with the gurney and everything, and comes to the first nurse's station and says, "I'm here to pick up," and says my mom's name. And the nurses was like, "Wait, what? You're here to pick up who?" And he says it again, and they just start laughing. They didn't stop to tell him that that's not the person you're picking up. They just go, and he like kind of wonders why they're laughing, and they just direct him to the back, which is where my mom was working. He walks up to her and says, "Hi, I'm from the funeral home." And she goes, "Good." And he goes, "I'm here to pick up," and he says my mom's name. She goes, "Wait, what?" And he goes, "Why am I getting this reaction?" And she goes, "Because that's me, and I'm not getting on that gurney." And it was just hilarious. He goes, "Oh my God, they must have switched the resident and the nurse when typing in the information, the answering service." And my mom is just like, unless he's the Grim Reaper coming for her, like, she ain't getting on that. It was just funny, like, he was there asking for her, like, that's insane. Like, nope, I ain't getting on that. So I thought that was funny. This girl, she called in constantly, right? And when you call in, you have to tell, why you're not coming in. She would say her grandma died. But she would use this excuse so much. Like, she used this excuse, like, her grandma died 20 times. I mean, she would use it that often. Like, how many grandmas do you have? Like, that's my question. But they accepted it every time. Insane. I want to say real quick, I wrote this down because I want to confirm something. As a former aide, and my mom can also back this up, and I'm sure anybody who works in the healthcare field will back this up. We absolutely, I know I've done this so many times, can clean up and have the most disgusting thing happen to us and go eat right afterward. Like, I've changed the most brutal bowel movement ever and then gone on break to eat right after. You just get used to it, that because that's your job. You're there to do that, and you just learn to move on and then go eat. Of course, you wash your hands and you do all that, but yes, you absolutely work with some of the most rough situations and then go eat right after. I had this gentleman who would get up in the middle of the night. A lot of times I would work night shift because it's easier, because my mom worked night shift, so we would work at the same places, so just carpool. A lot of times my mom was my nurse, so I wouldn't just walk up to her. We were very professional. I wouldn't say mom. I wouldn't say Patricia. Normally I wouldn't just say anything. I'd just walk up to her and tell her what I needed. Or I would say madre, which is Italian for mom, which sometimes you will also hear me refer to her as madre on YouTube. I'll also say padre, which is father in Italian. That's just what I commonly say when speaking about my parents. But yeah, my mom was typically my nurse at most of my jobs, which was a lot of fun. In fact, we were so professional. There was this one time, and me and my mom look back and we can't recall what we were arguing about, but we were having a hardcore fight. I mean, going at each other's throats the whole car ride to the job. Got out of the car in the parking lot, stopped arguing the moment we hit the building. We had to work on the same floor that night. So professional, didn't give attitude, yes ma'am, no ma'am, everything. The moment we got back in the car, it wasn't like 8 hours went by. It was like we were just continuing the argument. It was insane. We don't recall what we were arguing about. It was that pathetic. It was nothing. But I had a gentleman who would go and get up in the middle of the night and try to go in everybody's rooms. So we would keep the doors shut in most of the rooms. He tried to go into one of the other residents' rooms, and I tried to redirect him. And I'm sitting there holding the door shut and trying to move him and get him to come out, like come forward. And he wouldn't. He was convinced that he had to go through that door to go through another door to get to his room. But no, that's not how you get to your room, sir. I will take you to your room, but your room is this way. and he had a hold of my arm so tight it was like red, and then he tried to bite me. My supervisor was down the hall, and she had to help me because it was that difficult. This man was so strong. You'd be surprised at how strong some of the elderly is, because yeah, they're strong. A little bit after that, he cussed out my supervisor. It was insane. But yeah, he almost bit me. I'm sure you've heard the rumor that elderly have sex, and it's true. I've walked in on my residents having sex before, and you just shut the door and move on, because that's their room. That's their house. That's it. You gotta keep going. It is awkward, but they still get it in their 80s. Good for them. But it's not only the residents that are getting it in the nursing homes, because I had one night, my mom was working down in the rehab unit, and I was up in the long-term. There's 2 long-term halls. I was in one of them. The other aide was in the other, and anytime she needed help, I'd help her. If I needed help, she'd help me. We were kind of like working together, and there was one nurse for both of those 2 halls, and then mom was the nurse down there. I went to go see if that aide needed help, so I started checking the rooms for her because I couldn't find her. I didn't know one of the residents was in the hospital, so I checked that room. She was on her knees, and I was just like, and I just walked away. I didn't know what to do, right? I mean, what do you do in that instant, okay? This might seem wrong to some of you guys, but for me, that's not right. She's on a unit with a lot of people who fall. You're not paying attention to your residents. Something bad could happen. 2, really? You can't wait till you're on break? 3, that is disgusting. I found out that they haven't cleaned that room yet. After that gentleman went to the hospital, they didn't clean that room yet. So she's doing the thing in a room that hasn't been cleaned. Anyway, so I opened the door. I was like, oh, okay, and just shut it. And I went to find my mom, because I tell my mom everything, as some of you guys may know from the video that I did about my mom. I tell her everything. So I went downstairs. I was like, Mom, I gotta talk to you. She's like, can it wait? I was like, oh no. I was like, this is something important. It's work related, and I need to tell you something. She goes, if it's work related, go talk to your nurse. I was like, no, I don't know what to do about it, and I need to talk to you about it. And she's like, all right, what? And I told her. She's like, oh no, you need to tell your nurse. And I'm like, I'm friends with this aide. I don't want her to get in trouble. I also don't want her to think that I'm like a backstabber, but like I'm also the type of person that's like, but what about the residents? So I'm like caught in like this rock in a hard place, you know, because that's not right. The residents, you're on the clock, but she's also my friend. So what do? We went up and told the nurse, and the aide ended up getting escorted out. And then that was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and that left me with 2 halls that I had to do by myself, which was insane. The nurse helped me though, and I did the best I could. Got the majority of the people changed and a lot of people up for day shift. But yeah, that happens. It's not just residents doing the wham bam thank you ma'am. Aides do it too. Post-mortem care. So where you wash up somebody who's passed away, put a new brief on them, which I realize I haven't explained what a brief is. It's what people call diapers, okay? But in the north, we say brief because we feel like diaper is degrading. I was always the one they'd come get to do post-mortem care because I could separate myself from the fact somebody passed away. And that's something a lot of people I've found in the years I've been an aide can't do. So there was a new aide that came on, and I was training him. We were friends, and somebody passed away. Postmortem care. Sarah, will you do it? Yeah. He needed to learn how to do it. Now, if you don't know this, I will tell you. When somebody passes away, they still, if you turn them, may make noises like breathe. They still may twitch. They will most likely expel more bodily fluids like BMs, bowel movements, things like that. I didn't tell this guy that because as a veteran, we like to play jokes on the newbies. Not all aides are like that, but a few of us are. So we were doing postmortem care. We walk into the room. Immediately I open a window because that's kind of a thing to let the spirit go and not be trapped. And I told him that. Then we started doing postmortem care. I talked him through it, would help him as needed. It came time to roll the lady, and I was going to let him do it by himself and not tell him when he rolls her, she's most likely going to make a noise. When it happened, it scared the crap out of him. He thought she was still alive. I died laughing. And outside, I didn't know this, was my supervisor, and she came in and asked what was going on. And I told her what happened, and she even was laughing. So it was great. Anyways, we finished up doing our job, and that was it. He said he never wanted to do postmortem care again. So you can decide whether or not it was a good thing or a bad thing, but it was pretty funny. Probably not to you, but to me it was. And maybe to some other people that are in the healthcare field, you might find that funny. I had a resident. She always did some weird stuff all the time. But one particular time I can think of, I was sitting behind the desk, waiting for bells to ring and stuff. It's night shift. She got up and walked out in the hall, and I can hear her moving down the hall, and I'm like, what is she doing? She walks past the desk, and I'm just watching her. She walks into the bathroom that's next to the desk, and I hear something like water running or something, and then she gets up and walks past the desk and goes back to her room. And I'm like, what did she just do? I get up and look. She peed in the trash can. I'm like, oh, okay. At least she went to the bathroom, but in the okay. Well then, that's interesting. There was one night on the 4th floor of this building me and my mom worked at. I wasn't working that night, but my mom was. I worked the night before, and she was doing her normal shtick, and everyone kept asking if I was working, and my mom would say, no, why? And they're like, I keep seeing her. I keep seeing a little girl. And then they ended up saying, like, a blonde little girl. Of course, I'm not blonde. And at one point, they even said, like, she's behind you. My mom looked, and there's nobody there. So that whole night, they're seeing a little ghost girl running around the 4th floor. I mean, they thought it was me, but my mom, it creeped her out. Simply because at one point they said it was behind her. That would creep me out too, but I think I saved the best story for last. My favorite story, and the one me and my mom try to tell the most. She was my nurse that night, and she was behind the desk. I was leaning against the desk, and there was a resident. She was just a couple feet away from me. I look over, and she's reaching over her wheelchair, grabbing at the floor. I walk up to her. Oh my God, this whole story is insane. I walk up to her, and I go, what are you doing? And she goes, open that. I go, open what? She goes, that drawer. When this happens, you guys, you have to play along, because you can't just be like, there's nothing there. That's not how that goes, because they honestly believe something's there. So I go, okay. So I act like I'm opening a drawer. She goes, what are you doing? I'm like, opening this drawer. She goes, there's nothing there. You're crazy. And my mom just busts out laughing, and I'm just like thinking to myself, like, are you serious? You just told me to open a drawer. This lady just played me. So go back maybe 10, 15 minutes later, get done doing some things. My mom's back behind the desk. I look over, and this lady's doing this. Like she's knitting or something. And I'm watching her, and then she ends up changing. She starts cleaning the wall. She starts hammering things. She starts doing different activities. Starts fishing. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay. Not soon after that, she starts screaming bloody murder. Me and my mom, look, my mom stands up and she goes, "He's got a gun! He's got a gun!" My thought is that she's about to wake up all the residents on this floor, and this particular floor is more behavioral, and that means I'm about to have like a lot of issues. This lady's yelling, "He's got a gun! Help me, he's got a gun!" And I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta do something. I'm about to act out wrestling some guy for a gun. So I run in front of her, fake wrestle like this, push nobody into the bathroom, and shut the door. This is all on camera. My mom is watching this whole thing go down. I look at her and I go, "You're safe. He's gone." She goes, "Oh my God, thank you so much. You saved me." I'm like, "You're welcome. It's okay." And that was the end of it. My mom's face was priceless because I just faked wrestled the gunman. And all I could think about after I walked up to my mom and her telling me, you know, that was on camera, right? Was like, I wonder what their expression will be when they see me fake doing what I just did. Later that morning, the lady rolls up to me and she goes, "Be careful, there's alligators out here." I go, "Oh, okay, I'll watch out for them. Thank you." She goes, "You're welcome. Be careful." She leaves. She goes to her room, and that was my night. Me and my mom still crack up over the whole wrestling a gunman and the fact that it's on like camera. But and then for her to just like turn around and be like, "What are you doing?" "I'm opening a drawer." "There ain't a drawer there. You're crazy. Like, you made me fake wrestle a gunman on camera." Like, that lady. It was so great. It was priceless. That's the type of stuff that happens. I mean, you never know. Each night is different. But you get times where it's so worth it. It may be stressful at times. There may be nights where it's hectic or you have to watch out for alligators. But then you get a morning where a resident calls you personally, like puts on his bell for you to walk into the room and tells you that he wanted you to see this sunrise because he thought it was beautiful and that he wanted you to see it. It's just so worth it. Nursing. There's nothing like it. So rewarding. Anyway, I thought I'd tell you some of those stories, some of my favorites, especially that last one. If you are in the nursing field and have some interesting or funny stories, I'd love to hear them. Please share them in the comment section, or if you have rewarding stories or any stories that you want to share, leave them in the comment section. And if you have any that you don't want to share in the comment section but want to share with me, my email's in the description box down below. You can email me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys stay safe and well. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.